7.3 is applications, and remember, applications are word problems. Just this time we're looking more at uh, order of operations kind of applications. But there's our order of operations, and last time we went over two lessons, both 7.1 and 2, which cover the order of operations. And yeah, from 7.2, we did see these square type bracket parentheses. Yeah, and yes, they are classified as parentheses for now. So I don't know that we're going to have to use any for this lesson, but uh, there's a possibility we may have to do that in the future. So there's our order of operations at the top. And one other thing about the order of operations, which we did talk about last time, is do remember that it does happen from time to time where you need to do division before multiplication. Depends on which one comes first, scanning from left to right, or sometimes subtraction happens before addition when you're scanning from left to right. So same thing. This one says Jill and Mark meet at lunch. Jill brings 7 pears and 3 apples. Mark brings 8 pears and 6 apples. How many pears did they bring? For problems like this one on the assignment, you should not see any, well, we want you to translate this into an expression. There are some problems like that on this homework assignment, but this would not be one of those, okay? So when it asks how many pears did they bring, right? Well, Jill brought 7 pears and Mark brought 8 pears. So all we're going to do with this, in order to figure out how many pears were brought, just add those two values together, and 7 plus 8 is 15. So this is a word problem, and I need to remember to label this answer, that's all. It's not just 15, it's 15 pears. There we go. And next up, we'll look at apples. How many apples did they bring? Well, looks like Jill brought 3 apples and Mark brought 6 apples. So just going to take those two values, 3 and 6, and add those together. 3 plus 6 is 9. So that'd be a total of 9 apples. And that gives us the two answers we're looking for on this one. I'll just box them in. 15 pears, 9 apples. Bill had 203 songs in his iTunes account and added 29 more. How many songs does he now have on his iTunes account? Well, remember, he says that this is how much he had to start with, 203 songs. But then he went and added, so we know we are doing some addition here, these 29 extra songs. So I'm adding that 29. Whatever I get from this addition will be how many songs he now has on his iTunes account. 3 plus 9 is 12, so carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 2 is 3. And then drop the 2, 232. Just remember, this is a word problem, so we're going to just label this in songs on this one. And that's it. Sara spent $774 on holiday gifts, and Kayla spent $550. So Sara spent blank dollars more than Kayla on holiday gifts. Well, since this one is asking how much more was spent, and yes, we do know that Sara spent more. We should be able to tell that just by looking at the two numbers. $700 is more than 500, no matter how you or what numbers you have in the tens or one place values. So we're going to take Sara's amount, and more indicates subtraction. While usually that may sound like it would be more of a addition problem, right? Sara has, for example, $774 here, and Kayla has $550. But it is asking how much more Sara spent here. I guess not. It's not that they haven't, it's how much they spent. And so that's why it's a subtraction problem here, because this will tell us how much more 774 is than 550, or it's the difference. And we should remember that difference indicates subtraction right here. So I'm going to take 4 minus 0 is 4, 7 minus 5 is 2, and 7 minus 5 is 2. So that's $224. I'm just going to put that right into the empty space there. Okay. Now, if by chance you had performed the wrong operation, it wouldn't matter really if you looked at division, multiplication, or addition. You would have known pretty quickly that, well, she couldn't have had, like if you did 1,000, if you added, you would have ended up with more than 1,000, and Sara couldn't possibly spend more than $1,000 more than Kayla because she didn't even spend $1,000 there. Okay, So if you get wrong answers, hopefully it would be a little bit, at least kind of obvious that you found an incorrect answer, and then perhaps you'd have to go back and either reorganize the numbers or change the operation on this one. Here we go. This part B. This one's an addition problem because it says together, Kayla and Sara spent a total of blank dollars on holiday gifts. Well, together means that we're going to combine the two values. Remember, Sara spent $774 and Kayla spent $550. So if we wanted to know how much they spent together, we would need to add the two values. So in the ones place value, 4 plus 0 is 4. Tens place value, 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus the 5 is 13. So that would be $1,324. Put the label there, but no need to label it in the box because it already shows the label right there. Kayla camped at -2 miles relative to sea level. Of course, that negative indicates that she's camping below sea level here. She then hiked 8 miles upwards. What is her current altitude relative to sea level? And this is the type of problem where it's going to say, hey, write a symbolic expression. So we're going to have two boxes to fill in on this one. The first one is the symbolic expression on this one. And do remember, and I believe I checked on this one in the assignment, is if you're going to use negative values, we're going to put those in parentheses. So -2 miles is where she's going to start her camping here, -2 miles. So I'm going to start with -2 in my expression, and like we said, you need parentheses around your negative values for this type of problem where it wants the symbolic expression or the interpretation. Then it says that she's going to hike 8 miles, so I'm just going to put the 8 there, but it does say upwards, and that's one of the crucial words here because relative to sea level, that means that well, she's going in the positive direction, which means we're going to add the 8 right there, okay? So if we wanted the calculated amount, well, we'll just do -2 plus 8. And here, I see that the 8 is positive and the 2 is negative. 8's bigger. And since they have opposite signs, the sign of the bigger number will be the sign of the answer. So we know the answer is going to be positive here. After that, you just take the big number, which in this case is 8, and the small number, and all you need to do is subtract those out. So 8 minus 2 is 6. So the answer, of course, would be positive 6. You just want to put a label on that one. What is her current altitude relative to sea level? 6 miles. And since it's positive, that kind of is an indication that it's above sea level. Of course, you're welcome to write this if you're doing this by hand, that it's 6 miles above sea level. But again, to demonstrate that this is two different boxes that you would need to fill in on the assignment, let's go and put these in boxes. The first one here is the expression symbolically, and then the second answer is the actual calculated amount. Sheldon has $60 in his checking account, and Penny has -$140 in her checking account. How much did they have altogether? And then we'll write a symbolic expression first to figure this out, and then we'll actually calculate the amount. So this is not 3 questions, just to be clear on that. We do have the translation or the symbolic expression here, where one of the values is negative. Of course, we're going to use parentheses for that because the assignment wants it, and then the calculated amount will just be the amount of money that they have together. So I'm going to start with Sheldon's amount. And why am I starting with Sheldon's amount? It's just that it listed Sheldon first, that's all. So let's start with Sheldon here. And then after we figure out Sheldon's amount, then we will figure out Penny's amount. There we go. That's kind of what I was wanting here. So Sheldon, and then we will figure out Penny's. So Sheldon and Penny. And what did it say about Sheldon? Sheldon has got $60, and that is a positive amount, so we're going to keep it as a positive amount here. I don't really need the labels when I'm just writing the expression. Penny, though, has -$140, so we're going to put this in as 140. That is negative, and it is negative, so I'm going to keep parentheses around that. It's asking how much they have together, so that's an addition problem, right? We're going to combine the two values. So once again, this would be one of the two answers for this problem. to start out with. But then we want the second answer, which is the calculated amount. We'll be sure to label this, although on the assignment you do not have to label. It's already labeled for you in the assignment. But if you were doing this by hand, you'd want to do it. You'd want to label it by hand. So combining these two, first thing, of course, is to determine the sign of the answer. And I see that the 60 is positive, the 140 is negative, and the 140 is bigger than the 60. It's negative, so I know then that my answer will be a negative value. And you could put the dollar sign there right now if you wanted, but it's up to you. Well, the two values had opposite signs, so I'm going to take both values, the bigger value first and then the smaller value second. And I'm just going to subtract these out. Whatever I get from this subtraction will be the actual amount of that negative. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 minus 6, I'd have to borrow that 1 there, so that's just 14 minus 6, which is 8. So combined, even if they combine their two accounts, they'd still be in the negatives. Yeah, there you go, negative $80. And once again, this would be another box that you would have to fill in on the homework assignment for this one. Here's our first one with some fractions, which is kind of what I was expecting here. Sam walked 10/12 miles to the store. Gloria walked 18/12 miles to the store. How much further did Gloria walk? This one's nice. I assume that the homework is going to set this up pretty similar. But you see from these two fractions how they have the same denominators. Based on the operation we're going to be using, that's going to be extraordinarily convenient, okay? And this one says how much further did Gloria walk. You could say how much more did Gloria walk. That's a difference of values. And so this further thing right here tells us that we're going to be dealing with subtraction. Well, how much further did Gloria walk? That means that Gloria walked further, and Gloria here walked 18/12 miles. So we're going to take that 18/12, and some of you notice that could be simplified. I'm not going to, just because I know that the denominators are already the same, but how much further did she walk than Sam? Well, Sam walked 10/12 miles, so we're going to subtract the 10/12 miles, and this will tell us how much further Gloria walked. So the denominators are the same, so I'm just going to keep the denominator the same. I'm going to keep the operation the same. Remember, that doesn't really change anything. But I'm going to take the two numerators and operate there. So that's 18 minus 10, which results in 18 minus 10 is 8. Still in 12, so we got our final fraction here. This is 18/12, so that's how much further Gloria walked. But last thing we're going to want to do here is to simplify this fraction. And I know 8 and 12 are both divisible by 4. So I'm going to divide them both by 4, scaling this down, simplifying it essentially, which is really what we want. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 2/3. Yeah, just don't forget. I almost did this barely, but don't forget to label your answers on this one. 2/3 miles. And again, if you wanted to be more specific on that, you could say that's 2/3 miles more than Sam. It's up to you. Teri has 7/8 of a foot of ribbon for a project. She needs a piece of ribbon that is 4/12 of a foot long. How much ribbon will she need to cut off? Oh, okay, so she has a 7/8 foot of ribbon. She needs a piece that is 4/12 of a foot long. And here's why I would say that this is this comes across as a trick question. It's because she just needs a piece of ribbon that's 4/12 of a foot long. So my instinct would just be to say, well, she needs to cut off 4/12 of a piece here. But naturally, this is probably not what it's asking for, okay? Because, well, not only would that be too easy, but I mean, it's a good indication of how well you're reading the problems, and but I guess that'd be more tricky than would want to indicate right here. So we're not looking at cutting off 4/12 of a piece long. We're just looking at how much is left over. It's really what this is asking. So she has to start out with 7/8 foot of ribbon right here for the project. But she's going to cut off 4/12. Okay, so she's going to cut off the 4/12, which would mean that we're going to subtract these two values. Well, this is fraction subtraction, and so we need the denominators to be the same. So here I would say, well, what denominator would work? To cut the work a little bit for us, I'm not going to multiply the denominators by each other, although, well, maybe I should. That was kind of the most common method for doing this. So, I'll go ahead and do that. I know some of you know that the more common denominator in this case would be 24, and that's fine, but I'm just going to multiply them, right? So I'm going to say 8 times 12 and 7 times 12. Remember, if you scale one of the fractions, you got to scale the other as well. So, sorry, if you scale the denominator, you must also scale the numerator as well. So that's what I'm doing here. So for this 7/8 in blue, I'm going to change it to red because I'm scaling it up. 8 times 12 would be 96, and 7 times 12 is 84 there. I got 84/96 from that fraction. I'm subtracting still. That's what we got here from the green subtraction. But so the 4 and 12, I'm going to scale these ones up by 8. So 12 times 8 is 96, and this forces the denominators to be the same, which is what we want. And then the numerator, 4 times 8, which is 32. So that scaled those two fractions so that the denominators are the same. I'm going to rewrite this with a new denominator, the same denominator of 96 in this new fraction. I'm going to keep the operation as subtraction, but I'm going to take those two values, 84, and I'm going to subtract the 32. Some of you can do that in your head, some of you cannot. That's fine either way. I'm still going to show the work for it. 84 minus 32 is going to give us 4 minus 2 is 2, 8 minus 3 is 5. 52. So this ends up being 52 over 96. Now, in writing this out, 52 over 96, I see that both of the values here they're even. So it's at least divisible by 2, but would it be, looks like this will also be divisible by 4. I'm going to go with that for now. I'm just almost, I know we don't need to save time here, but I need to save some space just because I'm running out of space there. So divide by 4. Let's see what this does. 52 divided by 4. Let's see what that gives us. 52 divided by 4. 4 goes into 5 once. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. That's 1. Drop the 2 is 12. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So that's a numerator of 13. And then the denominator, 96 divided by 4. I'm sorry that's kind of small, but I'm running out of space there. 4 goes into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract the 8 is 1. Drop the 6. 4 goes into 16 4 times. There we go. This ends up being 13 over 24. That cannot be simplified any further. So that's going to be our answer there. Oh, yeah, but I need to label it. Yep, almost forgot to label. That's how much ribbon would be left over if you cut off 4/12 of a piece. Or if you're reversing this, instead of saying, well, 4/12, that's how much we need to cut off, which is kind of the obvious answer on this one, then you would have to measure out 13/24 of a piece and then cut that off, and then you would have your 4/12 of a piece. Daphne paid $78 a month for 5 years for internet service. How much did she pay in total? She paid a total of blank dollars for internet service over 5 years. Okay. Now, a couple things on this one. It's saying that it's $78 a month, but she's going to do this for 5 years. That's not 5 months. Be careful because that's a common mistake. I make this mistake as well, where my first instinct here is just to take 78 multiplied by 5. Okay. However, it's 5 years, not 5 months. So we need to figure out first how many months that 5 years is, and there is a slight expectation that you know this already, but there's 12 months in a year. That's not really information like if you saw this on the homework or even a quiz. That's not information that they're going to give you. There is the expectation that you know that already. Okay, so it's 12 months in a year, but that means that this would give us 5 groups of 12. Okay, so it's 5 years, 12 months per year. There's more to this. Well, there could be more to this that you'll learn in 950 if you have to take 950 or 920. And it just solved a little different, at least this part. So 5 times 12, that's going to be 60. So that means that the 5 years is also 60 months right there, okay? So Daphne is going to pay $78 for 60 months. Sorry, let me say that again. $78 a month for 60 months, which is the same as having 60 groups of that value up there. We have the 78, where did I put that? $78, there it is. So this is really just 60 times 78, and whatever we get from this value will be our final answer that we're just going to put in this box right here. So let's go ahead and multiply these out. 60 times 78. I kind of reverse those on purpose. I like the second number to have the 0. You wouldn't have to, whether you stack them as 60 over 78 or 60 times 78, you're going to get the same answer either way, okay? Because 0 times 8 is 0. Put that out here. 0 times 8 is 0. 0 times 7 is 0. So that gives us just zeros for the ones place values. Of course, now that I'm multiplying the 6 and the tens place value, there are no ones from this. And so I'd say 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 6 times 7 is 42, but add the 4 would make that 46. So adding these two, that's not too difficult, hopefully. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 8 is 8. Drop the 6, drop the 4. Looks like over the 5 years, you're going to pay $4,680. I'll just make sure to put in the box so I don't forget. There we go. April's going to swim freestyle first, right? So we're going to take this freestyle and let's put that out first here. Let's, I think I can use the technology. So look at freestyle, and then after we look at freestyle, we'll look at backstroke here. So let's freestyle and backstroke. So freestyle, it says that she swam 4/3 miles, and then backstroke at 11/12. So how many miles did she swim total would indicate that we're looking at combining the two values together. So this is fraction addition on this one, and in order to add the two fractions together, we are going to need common denominators on this one. And in fact, on this one, I can see that 12 is a multiple of 3. So instead of scaling both fractions on this one, I'm just going to scale the first fraction, the 4/3. I know that 3 times 4 is 12, which is the denominator I want, but I'd have to scale the numerator there as well. 4 times 4 is 16. So I got 16/12, same exact value as 4/3, just shown in a different way. I'm going to add that to the 11/12 in purple that we already had. So from here, the denominators match, which is what we wanted. They're both a denominator of 12. So we're just going to take the two numerators and add those together. I got 16 plus 11. That won't change the denominator, of course, but I will show 16 plus 11. I know not everyone needs to stack this, but I'm going to. So 16 plus 11. 6 plus 1 is 7. 1 plus 1 is 2. 27. I get 27/12. And the last thing we should do on this one is just to check to make sure that it cannot be simplified. However, 27 and 12 are both multiples of 3. So I'm going to have to scale both of them down by division, with division, by 3. So in the numerator, I have 27 divided by 3, which is 9. And in the denominator, I have 12 divided by 3, which is 4. If I were to look at this assignment for this problem, it says it wants the answers as simplified proper or improper fractions. So for this one, I'm just going to leave it as an improper fraction. Of course, I'll label it. That was in miles there. And that would do it.